let's get into it. So, some of the classics. Let's talk about the classic chords on bass. Let's look at power chords. That's just when you play a root in a fifth. So, if I'm on E, I'm going to just play the root in a fifth. That sounds pretty glorious. Root, fifth, and octave. Nice. And we're going to go from beginner to advanced here. So, stick around. Let's look at basic triads now. You should be able to play a major triad, 1, 3, 5. So that's G major. Okay. G minor. We take that third down. Let's play G diminished. 1, flat 3, flat 5. Let's play G augmented. 1, 3, sharp 5. Okay, so those are like classic triads across 3 strings. Now, what about nice triad voicings from the E string? So a lot of people play tenths, which is where you take a third and you put that third up the octave. So if this is a C major triad, you would just play C and E. And it kind of gives you the sound and feeling of a major triad. Again, we take that third down a semitone and we have a minor triad type vibe. If you want to add the fifth, you can either do this, root 5, 3. So you play the fifth over there, the G there. Or for minor, again, same. You just play root third on the A string and then that there. I also like this. So now I'm playing the fifth with my index finger. And if I want to play minor, so that's some nice voicings for major and minor. Now I like to do little practice where I kind of play through my major scale in triads. Okay, so let's say we do this in A major. You're going to play A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and then you have G sharp diminished. I like to play a kind of E major with a G sharp in the bass. But you can also play this, but then you need to change the voice. That's a nice diminished chord off of the E string. Let's look at that. We're going to play C, G flat, E flat. That's a pretty cool diminished chord voicing. So remember, for diminished, we had this voicing, root, flat 3, flat 5. This can also be quite a cool diminished sound, root, flat 3, double flat 7. And then to play off of the E string, root, flat 5, flat 3 at the top. And again, what's cool about diminished stuff is, once you have a shape that you like, please feel free to add any questions in the chat about anything you want to ask about bass chords or anything to do with bass or our pedals. Please put it in the chat and I will love to answer those questions live. But let's carry on. So if you have a nice diminished voicing, 1, flat 5, flat 3, okay? Now we can move this in minor thirds. And it's a very cool sound. And you'll always be playing in that C diminished flavor because diminished is symmetrical. So let's say I did this starting on E and I played this voicing, 1, flat 3, double flat 7. Now I'm going to move it in minor thirds and look. It's a very cool sound. Bass guitar, exactly, yes, correct. Okay, so diminished is fun because you get all of these symmetrical voicings. Move it in minor thirds, it always sounds good. So we've covered some basic triad stuff and off of the A string shapes and shapes off of the E string. Now let's look at 7th chords. So let's take B flat and let's play 3-note voicings. A nice voicing for B flat major 7. 1, 3, 7. And if you're going to do F major 7, 1, 3, 7. So try take that shape and move it around the bass. Okay? And now once you realize, oh, 1, 3, 7 is a nice voicing for a 7th chord, just like we did with the triads, let's play all of our triads in a key. So let's take D major and play it across one string. And take that voicing and move it to each chord. So D major 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, G major 7, then A dominant 7, B minor 7. This is C sharp minor 7 flat 5, and then you're done. Okay, let's do it in C major. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, C major 7. So that would be nice 3-note major and minor 7 chord voicings. You can also do 3-note voicings off of the E string, and a classic voicing is this. If we do this in F, instead of playing 1, 3, 7, you're going to play 1, 7, 3. So F major 7, 1, 7, 3. F, E, A. Thank you for subbing. That's very legendary. Any questions about bass or chords or pedals, please put it in the chat. This is why we are here. We're here to have a glorious chat with each other. But I'm going to continue talking about chords. So remember, F major 7, we're voicing 1, 7, 3. Okay. And now we take that, because we're going to say 1, 7, 3 from each chord tone in F. So F major, G minor 7, A minor 7, B flat major 7, C dominant 7, D minor 7. Now you have E minor 7 flat 5, and you're done. Okay. Let's do it in another key. Let's do it in G. So remember, we're playing 1, 7, 3 from each note in our major scale. G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D dominant 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and G major 7. Just take a look at this voicing for F sharp minor 7 flat 5, F sharp, and then you have your C, and then you have the flat 7 and flat 3. So it's not very easy to play that. I'm playing index, pinky, ring. Index, pinky, middle ring. Okay. So yeah, you want to be able to play your triads across the E from the E string, triads from the A string, 7th chords from the A string, 7th chords from the E string, and play all chords and all keys. So just if any of you missed that, and if any of you want to practice that again, let's do that again. Let's do C major with triads. So here's our triads. Whoa, let's do that again. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. Okay, this is triads across the E string. If you do it from the A string, you're going to have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, C. Let's do it in G from the E string now. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, or F sharp diminished, G. Okay? It's a nice, beautiful sound, yes. It is cool and calm. And now let's do 7th chords. Let's do it in A major 7, B minor 7, C sharp minor 7, D major 7, E dominant 7, F sharp minor 7, G sharp minor 7 flat 5, which destroys me. I need to practice that. And you're done. Okay. So that was triads and seventh chords, starting with the root on the A string, starting with the root on the E string. So the difference in the way I'm practicing it here is when you start on the A string, you go 1 3 7. When you start on the E string, you go 1 7 3. But just you're playing the same chord quality. And it's a beautiful sound. And once you get that really down, you can then start working on playing chord progressions, not just playing ascending the scale, like, you can start to say, if it went G major 7, I mean C major 7, to F major 7, to A minor 7, to D minor 7. Now I'm actually playing the song. And then you can change up if you want to play the root on the A string or the E string. You see? So now sometimes I'm playing the voicings on the A string, but with A minor 7 and the E minor 7, I might play the voicings off of the E string. And now you're making decisions not based on just what you learned and were able to do, but based on which chord sounds the best to you, which is the goal to me. The ultimate goal of practice is to make decisions based on what you want to hear, not based on what your fingers have done before. So that your decisions are based on music, not based on, well, this is all I know. Okay. Any questions? Drop it in the chat. Let me know. I'm here for you. Okay. Now, let's talk about playing some new voicings. So let's say we're going to get into some semi-intermediate towards advanced vibe stuff, if you want to call it that now. Let's say you're playing F Lydian now. So we're talking about modes. And we're talking about chords within modes. We're talking about making voicings from modes. Okay. So check it out. Let's say we're playing an F Lydian. And we're treating it like a key. This is what I love to practice and play with. So we have F Lydian. F played this way. Okay. Now look, inside of this, you can play your classic 1 3 7 or here. And that does represent the 4 chord, and it does kind of represent Lydian. But now we can say, can I see all of the notes in Lydian surrounding the root? Or can I just see the whole of Lydian across the bass? And if I can do that, I can pick out notes within the key. And this becomes really fun. So what I mean by that is this. Here we got F Lydian, backwards. And now look. I'm playing 1 9 7. I'm playing 1 sharp 11 5. I'm playing 1 sharp 11 9. So you see now 1 9 7. All of these voicings are coming from F Lydian. And what I can see inside the scale. I'm not so much thinking what intervals I'm kind of playing from the chord. I'm more thinking of, I just want to express Lydian with all these cool sounding intervals, okay? So I'm trying to play what I see within the key, and then I'm finding certain voicings that I love, and I'm trying to remember them because I feel like, whoa, that gives me the mood of Lydian the most. So all of these chords to me mean the same, like not the same thing, but it means I'm in Lydian right now. And then certain chord voicings like that gives me like the most Lydian vibe. And then what I like to do is once I decide on voicings I really love and I start to remember them, I might try play fills, bass fills with them. So if someone's playing on an F Lydian chord or F major 7 sharp 11, then as a bass fill, I know I could play because I know that that chord really spells out Lydian flavor nicely. So I hope this is not like too crazy for anyone. But again, ask me any questions you might have. And you can do this with any mode. So you could take Dorian. Let's take G minor 7, but a Dorian sound. Okay. And again, I could look at what's inside of Dorian. I could learn to play it backwards and 3 note per string and across the whole bass. And again, I start to look what's available to me. Like all of these could represent G Dorian. And then when I'm playing a G Dorian type groove, I can use these to play fills, these chord voicings, because I understand how they reflect the mood of the chord. Okay, now let's look at some specific ones that I've found that I really love. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, the 1-2-5. This is kind of like a sus chord, but instead of playing 1-2-5, you're going 1-5-2. You're just putting the second note up the octave. So kind of like add 9. It's like a power chord with a 9 at the top. Let's take this through a key. So now, D major, E. When you get to the F sharp, I would put that up. I would make it a minor third because the 3 chord has a flat 2. So we can't play that voicing there, but we can either go up to the minor third, or if you really want, get that crunchy note in there. But I just prefer that. So again, sus2, sus2, minor triad, sus2, sus2, sus2. Only in any major key, if you're using this sus2 type voicing thing that I just showed you, only chord 3 and chord 7 will this voicing not work. Every other chord you can play as a sus2, which I love. So again, check it out. I just play chord 1, chord 2, chord 4, chord 5, and chord 6, all with the same voicing. So again, if you're playing the key of D major, you can use this voicing so much, and I think that's awesome. And as bass fills, I love it. You can actually play all these voicings as fills, or play them as arpeggios and they become pretty out there fills. I really like that. Let's try another voicing. So that was 1-2-5. Let's try 1-5-7. This is a nice 7th chord voicing. So 1, we're in key of D major, 1-5-7. Beautiful. Now we do that off of each chord tone. D major, 1-5 flat 7, F sharp minor, G major, A dominant, B minor 7, C sharp minor 7 flat 5. So again, we're just playing the 1st, the 5th, and the 7th off of each note. And again, you can play these as fills or as little runs. I really love the sound. You can come up with some pretty cool stuff. Now imagine combining this with everything we've done. Then you're going to come up with some pretty crazy type bass lines and fills. That was 157. We've done 159. Let's do 156. I really like this. So we're playing the first, the fifth, and the sixth note off of each chord tone. And you can think of your modes when you do this so that you get it right. 156. This would be chord 1. This would be what you would play as a D major. This would be chord 2, the same voicing. So this is chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, chord 7, and chord 1 again. So again, you're going to have 156, 156, 1 5 flat 6, 156, 156, 1 5 flat 6, 1 flat 5 flat 6. And again, this to me, I love the sound. So as you can see, we're playing a lot of cool chords, and it sounds pretty cool just by taking one voicing and moving it through the whole key. Let's try another one, 7 5 6. So now we've got our D major again, and we're going to play we play 7 5 6. So check it out, the 7th, the 5th, and the 6th. So that's going to be D major 7, or chord 1. Chord 2 is like this. Woo. Chord 3 is like this. Chord 4 is like this. Chord 5 is like this. Chord 6 is like this. Chord 7 is like this. And we're done. So again, you're taking this voicing and you're moving it through the key. Any questions, please put it in the chat. We've gone from right in the beginning with just triads like this, and now we are playing some pretty out there voicings, okay? So if you missed anything, please go back, because I will upload this at the end of the stream. But yeah, any questions, please put in the chat. So now let's talk about chords with tapping. Now, if you play a 4 or 5 string bass, you of course don't have as much room to play these big chord voicings as if you played keyboard or guitar. But so that's why I like to use tapping to extend the chord. I'm not talking about like doing this. Not that kind of tapping. That's cool, but I'm talking more like if you play a minor 7 and you want to get the 11 in, you can kind of suggest it by tapping that 11. And that's a beautiful sound to me. Okay, so you could play G minor 7 with an 11, and you can add in all those notes. You could suggest them by tapping. So yeah, I like to play a chord like, let's say, A minor 7, and then I like to add in the 9, or add in the 11, or the 6. So that's a cool maneuver. A minor 7, and you're adding in the chord, upper chord extension, 11, 9, 6, or 13. Now there I tap 2 notes. And that's quite cool. You kind of suggest these triads or dyads. Okay. So that's a cool sound. Again, I could take another chord type. I could take this voicing. And I could create new sounds and new chord qualities by tapping. Or different note in the bass. Okay, so again, choose a chord type. Okay, I'm going to choose D minor 7. And then choose which mode you're going to use, like Dorian. And then tap the notes in the mode up here. Okay, any chord this can work. I really love this sound. You play a minor 7 and you add the 9. That's such a cool sound. And again, in terms of playing bass lines and fills, you can use these chord shapes to do that. Okay, so I don't want to get even deeper into chords maybe with this video because we've covered an insane amount of stuff. But are there any questions about bass playing or bass chords or our pedals that I can try help out answer with? Because maybe I'll go into spread voicings now, but let me know if there's any questions. Okay. Let's talk about spread voicings then. How do you develop a strong articulation in right hand plucking hand? That's a good question. I would say, well, you should work on your right hand technique first and make sure that you're pulling through the string. So don't tickle the string like this, with your fingers bent like that. Try get your thumb solid and your fingers straight and quack the duck. Pull your finger into your thumb. So look, you see, I'm not doing this. I'm not tickling the string. I'm pulling my index finger into my thumb. Consistent when there's lots of notes to play. Yeah, we're going to get to that for sure. So I'll explain that now. So first, understand, you're going to pull your index finger into your thumb through the string. And then you do the same middle finger into your thumb through the string. And once you get that happening, you start to alternate, pulling into your thumb. And when you do this on the next string, you're going to do the same thing, but instead of pulling through your thumb, you pull into your string below. So when I play the A string, I end on the E string. That's where the stroke ends. And same with the middle finger. And when I play the D string, I end on the A string, and same with the middle finger. So now my thumb is on the pickup and I'm pulling through the string into the string below. And I get used to doing that. And I try and make both notes sound the same because your fingers are different size and strength. And once you can do that, that's when you add maybe a metronome and try see can you do this like 8th notes or 16th notes and have them sound the same as each other, but always be pulling into the string. And then if you could do that on one string, what you want to do is take something like a pentatonic scale, B minor pentatonic, okay, and try play 2 plucks per note with that technique. Thumb on the pickup, pulling through the string and into your thumb. 2 plucks per note. And remember when you go to the next string, you're pulling through the string and landing on the string below. And then try practice crossing over just those strings of this part of the scale. And then when you can do that, add the next string. And remember, you're always pulling through into the note, into the string below. Now here's where you start to understand that, are you going to put your thumb on the E string when you play the D string, or leave it on there? I would leave it there, me personally. It stays on the pickup. And I'm just trying to play consistent 16th notes, 2 plucks per note. But make sure that I'm pulling through the string and each note is even. And then lastly, can you add in the final part of the scale at the top? Because now you're learning to cover the whole bass. All 4 strings. Okay. When you can do that comfortably to a metronome, then you put the metronome up in tempo every day, maybe go up 5 beats per minute when it's feeling really solid. And the last thing to add is, because we are bass players, skipping strings is difficult, okay? So the last thing I would do is I would just add in being able to play octaves. So first, just index finger. So I'm first playing B and then the octave, and I'm playing E and I'm playing the octave. So I'm doing this with just my index finger. I'm getting used to jumping across the octave. Only index finger. I'm getting used to my hand having to do this, because that's what's difficult about playing bass with the right hand. Then try go index middle. Okay, get used to that. Crossing strings with 2 fingers with a good solid sound. Remember, we're pulling into the string below, into our thumb, and then into the string below. So I'm playing 2 sets of octaves, an octave that starts off of the E string and an octave that starts off the A string, because that's the only place I can play octaves, which is cool. Once you can do that comfortably in time, index to middle, or index, 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 or middle, 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 middle. Okay. Then 2 plucks per note. Now, this is where it starts to get serious. So you're playing index, middle on the octave, and then you're playing index, middle on the next set of strings. So I'm playing from B to E. Octaves, 2 plucks on the root, 2 plucks on the octave. That would be like a very good thing to practice. So yeah, try get to the point where you can play octaves, alternating, and still keeping your technique as pulling through the string, and every note sounds like quite big and warm. So yeah, I would start there. Just playing a pentatonic scale, 2 notes or 2 plucks per note, alternating. Then octaves, all with index, 2 sets of octaves, and then 2 sets of octaves with the middle, and then alternating octaves. And if you can do that, that's pretty good. So spend like 10 minutes a day going through that with a metronome really slow, so that you're making your muscle memory awesome. Don't rush it and get bad habits, because then you won't be able to play consistently at quicker tempos, because you'll have all these bad habits, you know. And of course, then it becomes how creative you are, because of course you could descend instead of always ascending. So instead of always going like this, you could go start on the octave. And now instead of crossing the bass that way, you're crossing descending. And going slowly. And try in the beginning, always index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle. So now I'm descending this exercise. Okay, pick another note and let's ascend. Pick another note, let's descend. So do that until it feels super comfortable. And some people, like I'm starting on index, so I'm always leading with my index finger for this exercise. Some people maybe want to lead with their middle. So middle, index, middle, index. Okay, so you should decide. Which one you prefer the most, or which one you're going to lead with, but you should know that so that you're actually practicing. If you're always changing it every time, sometimes I start on index, sometimes I start on middle. When I cross the string, I go to index. When I cross it, I go to middle. You're not truly practicing because you're doing something different every time. So I would commit to one, and for me personally, index, middle, index, middle. Okay. And the last thing I'll add to that, if anyone has any questions about bass playing, let me know in the chat. What was I going to say? Oh, if there is time for another question, I'd love to know when you approach linear lines when you're soloing with stand, for example. I tend to play very position and can have trouble leaving the spot. That's a good question. Vocabulary, you know. Learn a real vocabulary. So what I would say is, as an example, let's take C major 7. Going to F major 7, just as an example. All good. So I would just say in terms of soloing over standards, take vocabulary, learn vocabulary. Like as an example, let's take, I always use this example, Donna Lee. Try and take that line on that C major 7 and move it to F major 7. So I'm taking the kind of flavor of that line to get me to the next chord. The next thing is just trying to take the line and voice lead. You see, so I'm trying to create a link. So I'm trying to get from here to the 7th of F. Let's say I choose a target note on that F major 7, the E, the 7th. So I say, now I need to get to E. So I add in a little phrase or little tail to get me away from C and lead into F. Now I'm on F, on the 3rd of F. Let's say I was going to B flat dominant. So you see, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to take that original phrase and use it as a springboard to take me to the next chord. So I'm always, when you're practicing, you can try use these target notes. Take a phrase you know and think, how do I kind of add a tail to this to get me to the next chord? Okay, so you really need to be able to see how that E of C major is inside that E in F major chord. That's one thing, you know. But another really cool way is moving a motif through chord changes. The classic example of this is John Coltrane on Giant Steps. And let's take a 2-5-1 and B flat. Okay. Play 1, 2, 3, 5 on each chord. See. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5. Change it around. 5, 3, 2, 1. And And once you get that in your ears, you can start to add those little chromatic things. You see? So so now I'm taking this like kind of motif or phrase that really outlines the harmony nicely, 1, 2, 3, 5, and I'm trying to add chromatics and vocabulary inside of that. Beautiful, Lawrence. Please go and practice. It's more important for sure. All good. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Any other questions? This has been a good one. We've been dealing with a lot of chords, lots of chords. I'll upload this once this is over because I went all the way from triads into some modal chords and some out there stuff. And we've been discussing right hand technique, and we've been discussing phrasing and playing chord changes a little bit now. So, any other questions about bass or anything, I'm here. So, please let me know. So, yeah. Let's just talk about a little fun, very, very fun melodic minor concept quickly while you're here. So, melodic minor. Let's take G melodic minor. Okay. So here's G melodic minor. So like with any other mode, you should know how to play this in a few different ways. So, you know, you can play this backwards, or whatever you want to call that. Below the root, I don't know what people call that these days, you know. Crazy times we're living in. Or playing it like this, 3 note per string. Which I really like. Or over here, you know, down here where bass players live, this is good. So I'm playing G melodic minor. Now you should learn your arpeggios in G melodic minor exactly like you did with your major scale. So you have a minor major 7 as chord 1. And you can play a minor 7 off of chord 2. Chord 3 you have an augmented major 7 with a sharp 5. Which is pretty cool. Now what I like about that chord is, oh, I can see I have an augmented triad inside my melodic minor. So D augmented. And once you have augmented stuff, okay, that means you can move that stuff in whole tones. It's a pretty cool sound. Okay. So if you can move it in whole tones and it's augmented, you can also move it in major thirds. And that's a cool sound. Now, so let's carry on with these arpeggios though. You have your minor major 7, minor 7, major 7, sharp 5. And then what I like here is my favorite part about melodic minor. Is chord 4 and 5 are both dominants. And then chord 6 and 7 are both half diminished. So you have these two sets of chords that are the same, that are all a tone apart. So if we're in the key of G melodic minor, you have C dominant 7, D dominant 7, then you have E minor 7 flat 5, F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So you have this stuff where you can play whatever line you play here, you can play it here. What you play in chord 4, you can play in chord 5. What you play in chord 6, you can play in chord 7. And then you get some pretty out there sounds. And it makes it a lot easier to play melodic minor with intervals instead of always just scale type stuff, which is cool, of course. But getting these more like wider intervals is always cool. So when someone plays let's see if I have it here. I think I do, which is glorious. Here we go. We got G melodic minor, G minor 7 flat, G minus major 7, G melodic minor. Okay. So now I can play C dominant 7, D dominant 7, E half diminished, F sharp half diminished. So now I can take these phrases and move them in tone. So what I play here, I can play here. What I play here, I can play here. Okay, which I think is super cool because you can play these sequences. Okay, so now we think to ourselves, okay, but no one ever actually plays a minor major 7 chord in the music that I play. Yes, I understand that. So let's look at a dominant 7 chord and use melodic minor of the 5th. So here's C dominant 7. Okay. Now on that C dominant 7, we're going to play G melodic minor. And you see we're going to get this C dominant 7 sharp 5. Because we have the 7th of G dominant 7. You see. Now we get this flavor. It's a pretty spicy meatball, isn't it? It's a spicy meatball. Okay, so now we're on C dominant 7. We've realized by playing G melodic minor, we get that sharp 11. Okay. Cool. So now we're going to play our G melodic minor stuff on C dominant 7. So those concepts we just looked at, that's C dominant 7, D dominant 7, E minor 7 flat 5, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to G melodic minor, we can use that on C dominant 7. So when you're learning melodic minor, you're like, when am I ever going to use this? I'm like putting in so much work here. You can use melodic minor on the 4th of a dominant 7, on the 5th of a dominant 7, on the flat 2 of a dominant 7, on the flat 7 of a dominant 7. So you actually can use melodic minor a lot if you know that. So again, I'm going to now play on C dominant 7 all my G melodic minor stuff. You see. And I resolve to C dominant 7. And then I play my melodic minor stuff. So yeah, you can use this stuff all over the place. That's just how I would go about using melodic minor on dominant 7 chords, just of the 5th. And again, you can do it of the 4th. So here's C dominant 7, and here's F melodic minor. You see, it sounds cool. As long as you resolve. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I was just checking that out today. But yeah, any questions about anything to do with bass playing or bass before I cruise? But this was very fun. We did a lot of stuff today. We did a lot of bass chords. We did like 30 minutes of just bass voicings, bass chord voicings. Answered some beautiful questions on right-hand technique for quite a while. How do you approach soloing? Do you focus on just chords? I would say you can like do a lot. If you haven't worked on soloing a lot, one thing that you can start to practice that's going to help you is motifs, small melodies, and developing them, you know. So again, on this, if we took the C dominant 7, if you were so focused on just the chord tones, you would kind of get stuck in this kind of, which is cool. But I think a motif which is a short, repetitive, melodic idea. Try take a short, repetitive, melodic idea and play that and develop it. So, for instance, I could play something like this. Okay? And now I'm going to move that through the key. Now it sounds like something that someone who's listening could grab onto. It doesn't sound like you're noodling. It sounds like you're creating like the start of a solo. Because they could already sing that third phrase before it even happens. So their ears, they're far more engaged. So even just that, take one little phrase and try and move it through the key of that chord. So there I played. So yeah, spend some practice time just doing that. Taking one chord and moving a small phrase through the chord and through the key of that chord, or the key that chord suggests. So this is C dominant 7. It's like. So I play bip bap, so I'm gonna play dip dip. See, I'm working that phrase and adding different rhythms to it. But still, it's something that someone who's hearing me solo for the first time could understand. Even like a 5-year-old would be like, oh, I know what's going to happen, so I want to listen. Whereas when you just like just noodling, it's not engaging, you know. So I would say, in terms of soloing, start with a small phrase and just focus on it and see how much you can develop it without losing the initial phrase. And then the next thing is vocabulary. So studying amazing musicians and learning one phrase, you know. And then moving that into the key, because these are people that have spent their whole life developing phrases. So you kind of get to just take the gold nugget without, you know, doing all the years. You just take a phrase that they found and discovered and thought was good enough to keep in their vocabulary. You take it, learn it, and then make that your own, you know. Like, this is a cool phrase. I learned from Bradford Marsalis. And there I'm kind of developing it. So now I'm like taking that phrase that I really liked enough to learn, and I'm trying to make it part of my playing. That's what I'm practicing. Okay. So yeah, I would just say motifs and then vocabulary, and using the vocabulary as much as you can. That would be a good way to get into getting better at soloing, you know. Knowing the chords is just kind of knowing the alphabet and knowing what the song is. So yeah, you should know what the harmony is, but being able to play through the harmony using motifs and vocabulary, that's what gets you into soloing and solos that sound more like a solo you might want to listen to, not noodling, you know. But it's very difficult, I know, but hopefully that will help you. All good. Yes, I'm glad those tips will be helpful. Any other questions about bass playing or anything? Okay, well, any last questions? It's been super good. We've done a lot today. Lots of stuff, lots of different things, which was cool. I came on to talk about chords. I spoke about chords for like half an hour or something. We spoke about rhythm. We spoke about the right hand technique. We spoke about soloing and playing chord changes. So I'll upload this video. So if anyone missed the beginning, it'll be up on my YouTube page. But any last questions before I cruise? Otherwise, it's been beautiful as always. Thank you so much for any of you that are watching, and for those of you who ask questions. Very, very legendary to hear your questions, and I hope this was helpful. So yeah, any last questions, please just put it in the chat now. Otherwise, I will probably do another live stream tomorrow talking about maybe just right hand technique, because I get a lot of questions about right hand technique and I probably haven't made enough videos about it. I'm kind of being a lot more into harmony and stuff. Will you do live every Monday? I do lives every few days. I'm trying to do lives like every few days, just because I like to hear what people are saying, because I can't see anyone when I make YouTube channels. Everyone could be just thinking, this absolutely sucks. So it's cool to hear what people's questions are and get feedback. So I'm going to try to do live streams a lot more. Yeah. I don't know if it's better to stick to certain days and certain times. I don't know. But if you guys think so, let me know. But I'm going to try to do them maybe around this time every 2 or 3 days. I'll try. So yeah, let me know what stuff you want me to talk about, because that helps. Otherwise, I just come on here and talk about whatever I'm interested in. And people might be like, none of us want to know about this, you know. So I don't want to torture you. But yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for everyone. Any last questions? Please let me know and I will answer it, because I am free for the next little minute or two. So anything. Otherwise, thank you so much and I will see you very soon. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. Please check out the rest of the videos on my page. And if you haven't looked at our pedals, Celebrity Pedals, you can add me on Instagram, Celebrity Pedals. I'll give you a sweet discount on any pedal you want. If you message me, if you want to ever DM me, just DM me on Celebrity Pedals on Instagram. Because I don't know, can you DM people on YouTube? Don't know. But yeah. Okay, thank you so much. And I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Bye.